By the time my daughter called the 27th time, the last of my guests had already gone home, still laughing about the feast she swore I did not deserve. The house was quiet again, except for the faint echo of their voices and the soft ring of my phone lighting up the table. Marietta, that is her again, Mrs. Albright had whispered before she left, touching my arm gently. You do what feels right, honey. Now the door had closed behind her, and I stood in my kitchen staring at the name flashing across my screen. Nora Hale. My only child. Calling again and again and again, I let it ring. Mom, answer me, please. Her voice tight with breath spilled through the newest voicemail. I need to talk to you. Call me back. The desperation in her tone did not match the calm bite of her words from 3 days earlier. In fact, the memory of that moment hit me like a cold gust seeping through an open window. I had been folding linens for the holiday table, humming without thinking, when the phone buzzed. I answered with a smile she could not see. Mom Nora had said too evenly, "You are not invited for Thanksgiving. Please do not take it personally. We just need something smaller this year." Smaller, I stood still among the half-folded napkins. Nora, what does that mean? It means we need a peaceful holiday. It means it will just be us and Camden's parents. I hope you understand. I remembered how the silence on my end lasted a moment too long. I remembered how she hurried to fill it, how her voice cracked just slightly. Mom, please do not make this harder. Those were the last words she said before hanging up. Not an apology, not an explanation. Just a door closing and me standing alone in a house that had once held all her childhood Thanksgivings. Now in the dim kitchen, my phone vibrated again, rattling against the wooden table. Nora's name. The 28th call. I finally turned the phone face down, my fingers steady. Her panic now could not erase the 9 words she spoke then. It could not undo the decision she made so easily. And it could not change the truth. I felt rising in my chest, the truth that would carry me straight into what came next. 3 days earlier, Nora's voice had been calm, too calm when she delivered the sentence that split the holiday in two. I had answered the phone expecting a quick check-in, maybe a question about pie crusts or what time I planned to arrive. Hey, sweetheart, I said, still smoothing the corner of a napkin I had been folding. Mom, she replied, clipped and level. I wanted to call before things get busy. What is going on? I asked lightly. There was a pause. Then the words plain and practiced. You are not invited for Thanksgiving this year. Please do not take it personally. My hand froze on the napkin. Nora, what are you talking about? It is just going to be us, she said. Me, Camden, and his parents. A smaller gathering. It will be easier that way. Easier for who? My voice cracked before I could stop it. For everyone, she answered, but the steadiness in her tone wavered. Mom, please do not make this into a scene. A scene. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. I am asking why I am suddenly not welcome. On her end, a door closed softly. Camden's low voice murmured something in the background, words I could not make out, but the tone was unmistakable disapproval. Nora exhaled hard. Camden thinks it will be more peaceful without extra people. And I agree. We just want something quiet. I am extra people now. The sentence slid out shaky. That is not what I said. But her voice was thin, stretched tight. Mom, please, just understand. Understand what her drifting her distance, the way she had been shrinking me out of her life a little more each year. She did not explain. She only waited in silence for me to accept the verdict. I swallowed, unable to find any shape of a response. Okay, she whispered finally. I have to go. The call ended. The house around me stayed still, but something inside me shifted heavy and sharp. And as I set the phone down, one thought clung to me, the tremble in her voice when she said she hoped I would understand. The uninvitation did not come out of nowhere. It was the final stitch in a long, unraveling thread. I realized that as I stood in my quiet kitchen, the phone still face down, my mind drifting back through the tiny cuts that had been delivered with smiles. The first one came 3 Thanksgivings ago. I had brought my pecan dressing, the same recipe my mother taught me. Nora took one bite, smiled too brightly, and said, "Mom, this is a little too Southern, too heavy. Maybe next year we keep things lighter, okay?" I remembered laughing it off. I should not have. Then there was the Founders' Day parade. I had taken a photo of Nora holding her youngest on my hip and posted it online. She called 20 minutes later. "Mom, can you delete that? It does not fit our page aesthetic." "Aesthetic?" I repeated, confused. "It is fine, Mom, just please take it down." I deleted it immediately. And then came the comments about the kids. Every time I offered to take them to the park, Nora insisted it was too much or not part of their routine. Camden added his own careful distance. "Your mom means well," I heard him say once in their kitchen, low but not low enough. "She just overwhelms the boys. Overwhelms." The word lodged itself in me. Meanwhile, Camden's parents were always welcomed without a single boundary. "They understand our system better," Nora once said. "You know how it is." I knew exactly how it was. I had watched it play out for years, me on the outside edge, them always at the center. And what did I give in return? A down payment to steady Nora and Camden's first year. Countless rides when Camden lost his job for nearly 8 months. Childcare whenever they needed it, even on nights I was bone tired. Yet every year the space around me seemed to shrink, like someone drawing a circle and gently pushing me further from its middle. I stood there breathing slowly and felt the truth settle deep. When did helping turn into being erased? I almost apologized to her out of habit, before remembering she was the one who closed the door. That night sleep would not come. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, turning the phone in my hand, rehearsing ways to make things easier for Nora. "Maybe I misunderstood," I whispered to the dark. "Maybe she is stressed. Maybe Camden pushed her into it. Maybe I should call and smooth this over." The excuses lined up one after another the same way they always had. Around midnight, I sat up, reached for the lamp, and caught sight of the old framed photograph on my dresser. My mother holding a turkey platter far too heavy for her thin arms, smiling even though no one had shown up that year but me. I remembered that Thanksgiving vividly. I was 16, frustrated and impatient, but she never said a word about the silence from my brothers. Later that night, when she thought I was asleep, I heard her crying quietly in the kitchen. "They just have their own lives," she whispered, as if saying it aloud made it less cruel. She spent the last decade of her life making excuses for children who kept pushing her aside. I had promised myself I would never end up like that. And yet here I was, phone in hand, ready to apologize to my daughter for hurting me. My chest tightened. I set the phone down slowly. Around 2 in the morning, I walked into the living room, the carpet cool beneath my feet. The house was still, but inside me something was shifting, small at first, then firm like a spine straightening after years of bending. "I am not calling her," I said quietly. "Not this time." The words settled in the room, unshaken. For the first time in a long while, I felt steady, unrooted from guilt, unburdened by apology. If I was not welcome at her table, why could I not build one of my own? The idea started small, just a quiet meal for myself, until kindness began answering its own invitations. The morning after that sleepless night, I stood at my kitchen counter staring at the empty calendar space where Thanksgiving dinner at Nora's used to sit every year. My hands rested on the cool surface as a thought rose, simple and steady. "I can make my own meal," I whispered. It sounded almost childish at first. Then it sounded possible. By noon, I sent my first message. "Mrs. Albright, if you have no plans, I would love your company on Thursday. Her reply came moments later. "Oh, honey, I would be honored. I thought I would be alone this year." Warmth spread through me. Next, I called Jonah Hall, the young history teacher who'd once been my student. He answered on the second ring. "Ms. Hale." "Are you all right?" "I am," I said. "But I would love to cook for someone who enjoys good food and good stories." He laughed softly. "My folks are out of town. I would be grateful to join you." Then I reached out to two women from church, June and Lillian, who had quietly admitted last Sunday that their families were scattered across different states this year. "You do not have to be alone," I told them. June inhaled sharply. "Neither do you." Lillian added, "Tell us what to bring. We will be there." I stood there listening to their voices overlap, and something settled inside me, something I had not felt in years. I pulled out my recipe box, the same one with my mother's handwriting tucked in the back. This time there would be no comments about too heavy or too southern. I could season the greens the way I liked. I could bake cornbread that crumbled just right. I could make sweet potato custard without anyone suggesting a lighter option. As I planned the menu, I could almost hear the hum of Savannah's old traditions swirling around me, the way neighbors shared dishes across porches, the way holidays once felt like community instead of performance. My table would not be crowded with expectations. It would be filled with choice mine. Who would have guessed that the people who showed up were not the ones I had spent a lifetime trying to please? It was supposed to be a tiny gathering, but the laughter rose so high, it felt like the walls leaned in to listen. Mrs. Albright arrived first, clutching a small tin of almond cookies. "They are not much," she said, but I did not want to come empty-handed. "They are perfect," I told her, guiding her to the table I had set with the careful pride of someone reclaiming something she thought she had lost. Jonah knocked next, holding a bottle of cider. "You cooked all this yourself?" he asked, eyes widening at the platters cooling on the counter. "I did," I said, "and I did not let anyone tell me to lighten the menu." He laughed. "Good. Food should taste like something." June and Lillian came together already, bickering gently about whose pie would disappear first. Within minutes, voices overlapped hands past dishes, chairs scraped close. Someone teased Jonah about the way he piled his plate. Someone else asked Mrs. Albright to share the story of her first Thanksgiving in Savannah. I sat among them, my heart swelling at the sight, faces lit with warmth, people leaning in, sharing seconds, sharing stories. No careful performances, no tension disguised as tradition, just joy. At some point, someone snapped a photo of all of us, me at the center, smiling in a way I had not in years. "Post it, June," Lillian said. "Let the world see what real Thanksgiving looks like." June laughed. "I will tag you, Marietta. You look radiant." I did not think much of it. Not then. It was later, as we cleared plates, that June's phone buzzed. She frowned lightly. "Oh, Camden just liked the photo. Does he know you, Marietta?" I paused. "He is my son-in-law." "Interesting," she murmured, sliding her phone aside. An hour later, after everyone had hugged goodbye and promised to come again next year, my phone vibrated on the counter once, then again, then again. A message from Nora appeared first. "Why is there a picture of you hosting a party?" Then one from Camden. "Why is your mother hosting a gathering like that? I thought she was spending Thanksgiving alone." I stared at the screen, the contrast almost too sharp to swallow, their stiff, curated private holiday versus the laughter still echoing faintly through my home. What happens when people who pushed you aside realize you never needed their table at all? The next morning, my phone lit up like an alarm, calls, messages, missed attempts, every one of them from the daughter who had shut me out. I watched the screen flash again. Nora missed call, 9 missed call 10, missed call 11. The voicemails came so quickly, they stacked over one another. "Mom, call me back. Why did you host something? You said you were staying home." Mom answer. This is serious. Her voice trembled between accusation and panic, a familiar mix I had learned to swallow over the years. I placed the phone on the table untouched. A new message arrived. You should have told us you were having people over. This looks bad, Mom. Really bad. Before I could even read the second part, another notification appeared, this one from Camden. Why would you post a party like that after we made our plans clear? You are making us look irresponsible. I exhaled slowly. I had not posted anything. June had. Lillian had. People who were proud to spend the day with me. People who did not need to hide the fact that they knew me. Another buzz. My sister saw the photo Camden wrote. She already asked why you were alone in previous years. This is creating problems. There it was, the truth rising through the cracks. It was not worry, not guilt, not love. It was embarrassment. Then Nora's messages came in a rapid stream. Why did someone tag Camden people are asking why you were not with us? You should have told me you were planning something. Mom, this is humiliating. I picked up the phone only to silence it. The vibration hummed against my palm like a trapped fly. When I set it back down, another voicemail loaded automatically. Mom, please answer. Camden's parents are asking questions. His sister is upset. Everyone thinks we excluded you, and that is not fair. I almost laughed quietly, bitterly, because fairness had never been mentioned when she told me not to come. Call after call rolled in until the device grew warm. I stepped away from it, poured myself tea, and sat in the living room, listening to the muted ringing. It was strange how freeing it felt not to chase their approval, not to scramble to soften their embarrassment. Another ring, another message, another plea laced with accusation. If they were so confident in their choice, why did a few photos shake them so badly? They chose a cafe in historic downtown neutral ground, as if neutrality could soften what they had done. I spotted them through the window before they saw me. Nora sat stiffly, hands wrapped around an untouched mug. Camden leaned back in his chair, jaw-tight eyes scanning the room as if preparing for a confrontation he believed he would win. I opened the door, and they both straightened. Mom, Nora said, trying for calm. Thank you for meeting us. I pulled out my chair. You said it was urgent. Camden jumped in before she could speak. You blindsided us. I blinked. Blindsided you? Yes, he snapped. People saw that picture. They think we abandoned you on Thanksgiving. You did, I said evenly. Nora flinched. Mom, please do not start. This has gotten out of hand. Everyone is acting like we are villains. You told me not to come, I replied. Those were your words. Nora's voice trembled. I did not think you would throw a party. You made it look like we shut you out. I leaned in. You did shut me out. Camden scoffed. Now my parents are calling asking why you were alone in previous years. My sister said it made us look selfish. Do you know how humiliating that is? So this is about your reputation, I said. He bristled. It is about you embarrassing us. I held his gaze. I embarrassed you by having a meal in my own home. Nora reached for my hand, but stopped halfway. Mom, you could have told me. We could have coordinated something. You told me it would be more peaceful without me, I replied. You did not ask if I was hurt. You did not ask if I would be alone. You did not ask anything at all. Silence pressed between us. Then Camden leaned forward. Fine, you are upset. We get it. But going behind our backs. I did not go behind anyone's back, I said. I lived my life for one day without waiting for your permission. Nora's voice tightened. Can we please just reset? Do Thanksgiving together next year. Let us move past this. I exhaled slowly. There will not be resets without changes. She looked lost. Changes. No more calling me for last-minute childcare, I said. Nora's mouth fell open. Mom, no more expecting financial help every time things get tough. Camden's eyes narrowed. You owe us after everything we have done for you. I owe you nothing, I said quietly. And I will not reward cruelty with obedience. The air cracked. Camden stood so fast his chair scraped. This is unbelievable. Nora grabbed his sleeve. Camden, sit, please. He jerked away. If she wants to act like this, let her. I rose slowly. I am done being small so you two can feel big. Nora's breath hitched, her composure slipping. Mom, do not walk out. I stepped back from the table, steady, for the first time in years. What do people do when the person they underestimated refuses to shrink anymore? Justice does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it appears in the choices people finally have to live with. In the months that followed that cafe conversation, everything shifted without me lifting a single finger. Camden's parents called me first. We did not know, his mother said quietly. We were told you preferred to spend holidays alone. I never said that, I replied. Her sigh was long and honest. I believe you. And I'm sorry. After that, their invitations to Nora and Camden grew fewer. They stopped defending them, stopped covering for them, stopped pretending. Friends noticed things too. A woman from church pulled me aside one Sunday. I saw the photos of your dinner, she said. It looked beautiful. A lot warmer than what we heard happened at your daughter's house. People chose their words carefully, but the message was clear. They understood where the cruelty had come from, and it was not me. Meanwhile, my own life widened. June and Lillian invited me to join their weekly Bible circle. Jonah brought me coffee after school on Fridays just to talk. Mrs. Albright insisted we start a monthly supper club. You have been feeding everyone else your whole life, she told me. Let us feed you now. I felt myself growing steadier, fuller, like a part of me had finally come home. When the next Thanksgiving approached, I set my table again. Simple dishes. Familiar hands helping, laughter rising in every corner. The house filled the way it always should have. Late in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Nora's name appeared. Then her text. Mom, can I come this year? A second message followed. I miss you. I want to fix this. I stepped onto the porch before answering. My hands were steady. You are welcome, I typed. When respect is due. Minutes passed before she replied. I understand, she wrote. I will work on that. For the first time, the weight of her choices rested on her, not me. She would have to live with them, grow from them, reckon with them. Inside, my guests called for me. Dinner was ready, plates already being passed. I smiled, feeling the warmth that belonged to me. When you stop begging to be included, who will prove they deserve a seat at your table?